everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live. It is the third and final day of Illustration Week here. I am back with our prolific color professor, Nathan Fowkes.
Well, I'm
dropping all the
excited
knowledge.
to be back with you
Yeah.
guys. We're wrapping things up today.
Yeah. How is everyone doing? Where are you all joining from? Let us know in the chat. Hope you all learned some juicy Photoshop tips and tricks from Kathleen. Looked like you all were making really, really cool iPhone backgrounds in Photoshop. So we have a chat and win giveaway a half hour into the stream. We are giving away this amazing poster by Dan Mumford, and he did this in Adobe Illustrator Draw on the iPad.
Look at the grab that image has. That's, you
good
want
color.
an image that grabs you from across the room.
Definitely.
So congrats to the upcoming winner when it happens.
And an hour into the stream, we will be doing a portfolio review. So that'll be really fun today.
Two lucky winners. I've been waiting, just for my chance to just tell someone everything you're doing is wrong. So this is going to be my big moment coming up today. So I'm excited. I don't know how they'll feel about it.
Well, hopefully these portfolios are too amazing for you to say anything negative about them. So you can submit your portfolios to us here at be.net/live. Information is under the portfolio review tab. So get those in the next hour and have an illustration bent toward them so we can review. Let's look at what's happening this week on Adobe Live. So we had Bobby Chu, we had Kay, we had Kathleen's Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge, which I think is continuing into tomorrow. I don't know, I heard something's happening tomorrow. And we've got us. And then the wrapping up today is Anna Daviscourt with Ari.
Yeah, and I hope it's been a real treat for you guys to be able to work with Anna, Bobby, and Kay. I've known Bobby and Kay for many years now, and felt very complimented to be on the same project with them. So this has been a fantastic run, and I hope you guys have enjoyed what you've had so far.
So we have folks from Ireland, Paris, Binghamton, New York, Tampa, Argentina, Miami, Dubai, everywhere in the world.
Good.
Love it. So what are we doing today, Nathan?
Well, we're getting our mojo on. We have talked about how it takes daily practice. I don't know how you guys feel about talent. I've kind of given up on that idea. I don't know I won't give you any science about it. What I do know is that the people who have been determined are the people who have made real progress in their artwork, and that's the foundation of what it's fallen to. So I promised you guys I would show, I'm a daily painter, a daily sketcher, along with my professional work, just trying to keep on top of my game as best I can. So I promised I'd show my sketch kit, and while I show you guys this, I'll tell you, I met somebody early in my career who had wanted to be an artist. And I'll tell you, they were a little bit bitter that they'd let themselves get derailed. They were a production assistant at the company I was working for at the time. And the guy told me, he said, you know what, I really wanted to be an artist, but I let myself get pushed away. I was told, no, get real, go to business school. He did that. And he said, so I did. I went to business school, and now I find myself as an assistant to artists who are in a better position, making a higher salary than I am. And he was pretty bitter about it. He left the company shortly thereafter, and I don't know what happened. Maybe he got maybe he turned things around and went the direction he wanted to go. And I'll tell you, this is art is an area where there's tremendous opportunity, personally and professionally. And like I mentioned at the top, the people who are determined are the people who find those opportunities. And at the time, and I used to think, when I heard someone say, oh, I wanted to be an artist, but these other things got in the way, I used to feel really bad. Oh, I wish those things hadn't have happened to that person. But I'll tell you, since that time, I've changed my mind. And the reason is some of the most impressive artists I've ever met, ever worked with, they've had every challenge. They've had illness. They've had, poverty. They've had, taking care of ailing parents, taking up, their time and their resource. But in any other time they could find and eke out, they couldn't think of doing anything else other than being an artist. They did it. They made it. And so that's why I love talking to all of you guys out there, the people checking in, taking time out of your week, following along with us. You've separated yourselves as the people who are determined. I'm looking at the screen right here with a very long list of people checking in. And Noah, I see you up there. Renee, really, really happy to see you guys checking in. Good to see you. Okay, so you guys are on the list. You're the determined ones. So let's talk turkey here. This is my little sketch kit. And just a little sketchbook, watercolors. I use white gouache with my watercolors. It all fits in this little pack. Yes, that is a Listerine mouthwash bottle. I
Gotta recycle.
I recycle. Any bottle I use before that would leak, but not that bottle. That bottle is 25 years old and hasn't
Wow.
leaked
That's
a day.
amazing.
So it's just a little kit that lets me sketch anywhere and everywhere I go.
About how big is that bag?
Yeah, so it's just a little, frankly, it's a fanny pack. About this size, strap it around your waist, go hiking. That's a little sketchbook with heavyweight craft paper. Right now there's good heavyweight multimedia paper from, I'll have to think of the company who makes it, and I'll let you know, but there are some resources out there. Popped in my head now, Strathmore Series 400 makes a good kind of a craft paper that you can carry around with you. And so this is opened up for me to be able to sketch anywhere I go. I have this little kit with me, anywhere, everywhere, pull over on the side of the road, do a sketch, go on a hike, do a sketch, stare out my office window and do a sketch. And one of our primary themes here during the 3 days that I've had a chance to be with you guys is if you take the hard one, the traditional knowledge, knowledge that was true in the Renaissance, true today, and despite where technology goes, will be true in another 500 years. You take that knowledge and combine it with the power of digital tools and the way that it can manipulate the properties of color, you're unstoppable. And that's what we're all about here during these 3 days. So I wanted to show you guys that and make the point, when you have those limitations and you're not able to get out and do those sketches, you're in the office working sometimes 12 hours a day. Well, in that case, I would just sketch out my office window. So back while I was working traditionally, back in the mid and late 90s, I would just stop and stare blankly out the window like we all want to do on a break. But I'd break out my paints and do a little sketch. So I must have done something like 70 of these over the course of a year. And it was so instructive on how different a place can be at different times of day, under different conditions. I'll just roll through a little closer up here. I'll go through quickly, but these streams, they're saved. You can go back and watch it again. It's archived. You can pause this if you want to take a closer look. Looking out from my DreamWorks office window. By the way, we were completely surrounded. All of those buildings you see, kind of the mysterious, they're almost like a brutalist concrete architecture. Those are Disney warehouses. Those are all Disney warehouses looking up and out over the San Gabriel Mountains from Glendale, California. We were surrounded by property owned by Disney while we were there at DreamWorks. But so here I am. That's the scene out my office window. So that's what I had the opportunity to paint. And it seemed like a bit of a lackluster subject, but turned out not to be. Okay, so I told you guys, I started out traditionally painting primarily in acrylics, but of course we went digital. It was the efficient medium. It was a medium that let us make changes, the medium that let us constantly roll with the stresses and the tight production schedule. And so we started using Photoshop in 1999 just to do tweaks, to do cleanup. We were doing hieroglyphics with the Road to El Dorado. And so we could clone hieroglyphics to save a little bit of time. But we got to a point where it was going to be more efficient to paint in Photoshop. Guys, that was a tough transition for me. I was a painter. I used paint. But it was what was necessary. It was what was necessary for me to be a rigorous production artist. So I went back to what's always worked for me. I started doing my daily sketches in Photoshop. And so this is another view out my office window. I'd moved to a new office by this time. We're looking out over Griffith Park, a nice area there again in Glendale, California, just looking the opposite direction into the park there. And at that time, not very many people knew about digital painting. I wasn't sure how to get good organics with the digital tools. So I started doing daily sketches out my office window. Here's an example. Show you another one here. Again, same subject, different times of day, different lighting. I'm a bit of a night owl. Sometimes I work at night, even back then from the office. So you can see the afternoon dropping down into the evening here and the street lights coming on. And me having the opportunity to learn how to use digital tools to get that experience of the light and atmosphere out my window and then bring that knowledge to my production schedule. So that's always been a benefit. I'll just roll through a few more digital sketches here for you, all done in Photoshop. And I tell you guys, whatever limitations you have, if nothing else, pull over in your car. I know on your screen, your laptop, whatever kind of a tool you use, the reflections, pull over in your car, look at a good spot out the window, the reflections will be minimized, turn on the radio, turn on the air conditioner, and just have a beautiful experience sitting there sketching in Photoshop in your car. Just doesn't get any better than that. There's an opportunity to paint and to sketch and to learn everywhere you are, everything that you do.
What's your preference today, digital or traditional?
Well, that's the beauty of it because it's all frustrating, right?
Yeah.
Traditional paints are very frustrating. They always have been. They always will be.
Especially when you're outdoors.
It's absolutely true. The complexity of the digital, you can do so much. There's so many possibilities with digital tools, and that can be mind-numbing. So I like to escape. It's kind of, we all want to escape and procrastinate a little bit. Yeah. We want to take a break from what we're doing. And so my little life hack to stay productive is, I'm sick of staring at the screen. I got to take a break. Well, I'll take a break from art by doing other art. Just like you saw, break away from my work and do a painting out the window. And I might do that traditionally. And then the paint, kind of gets muddy, splashes on my shirt, whatever it is. And I kind of want to get away from the paint. And it's a big relief to go back to digital. It's my little hamster wheel. But I take a break from art by doing other kinds of art. And if I ever look like I get a lot done, that's specifically the reason for it, escaping one kind of art. And so that's worked so far. So I'll just show a couple other sketches here.
Anita asks, how long do you usually spend doing one of these sketches or paintings?
I try to keep it quick. The goal is to be able to do the sketch before the light changes. And we've joked around about the weather in Southern California. And so on an overcast day, you have time. But on a sunny day, you have about an hour before the light significantly changes. So I try to keep my sketches to be an hour or less. And I don't mind a bit. I'll go home and look through my sketches, and I might do a little, tweak a little thing or clean up a little thing, do a bit of touch-up at home if it's needed. But keeping the sketches to under an hour forces you to do something very valuable, and that is commit. You got to decide, and for those of you who want to do this landscape sketching challenge, the thing to do is ask yourself, why did I stop here? What was it about this place that made me want to paint it? And then lock into that. Human nature is, oh, look at the textures on that tree. Look at the grass down here. Look at the details over there. Human nature is to scatter, and that kills a painting fast. Even when you have 10 hours to do a painting, it still kills an image. Why? Because you dilute the image down into nothing. It's not about something specific. So if you key in to the thing that made you want to paint that image, you're going to have a little piece of poetry on your hands in time and with practice. So that's the dream, right? To do something you're proud of, put something
Definitely.
down there.
Well said.
Okay, so those are my traditional sketches and my digital Photoshop sketches. So with that, I think we can dive back into the demonstration that we've been
Sounds good.
doing over the past couple of
Yeah.
days.
One more question.
Sure, let's do it.
About these. Linda asks, what do you use to do digital sketches when you're on the road? Because that's a little bit harder instead of using a laptop and a tablet. Do you have a mobile device, or do you bring this out?
Yeah, the Wacom Companion, and it's called something different just in the last iteration, is an absolutely fantastic tool to run your digital tools. And so a lot of people have done that, and I try and keep my tools simple and straightforward. So I have a really good rig at home, for my production artwork, and then beyond that, I just keep my laptop. And if I scatter myself around too many tools and devices, I
It's hard.
get exactly that. I get scattered. But there's so many options and so many opportunities out there.
Renee says that the new name is the Wacom Mobile Studio Pro.
There you
if
go.
Any of you are interested in a on-the-go device. It's
Okay.
a good one. So let's dive back in. You've done quite a few iterations at this point.
So far, I put them together on a page. Now I snuck, you guys know that I have no life outside of art. So I took the liberty to go one step further, and I put everything we have so far on a page. And what I want to do, I want to see if we can get 4 more sketches in today. I don't know, we'll see how it goes, because I want to spend time answering you guys' questions as well. But it would be great to have a page of very different studies to round out what you're seeing on your screen right here, so we can get as much variety out of this one scene as possible. So let me show you, I tweaked what we had done a little bit further last night, and I'll show you where we are with that. Okay, so I'll go to my layers. And so we had our initial painting, we brought it into the light of sun, and then from there, as you recall, we did kind of a stormy, dramatic version, kind of simplifying so it becomes more powerfully about one thing. And then from there, we did a moonlight version, kind of moody, not necessarily a positive scene, but more down in the mood. But I think what was beneficial, when we warmed it up a bit and lightened it up a bit into some purples, we got a more positive mood about it. Remember, we're going on that roller coaster ride, really learning how to take our audience into different emotions, and those subtle tweaks can do the trick. So I took the liberty last night of going a little bit further with that and doing a really intensified, just turning that into daytime. Kind of it could be morning, it could be evening, but let's say that this is the vivid setting sun. And then I took that and did this version. And I did this version for a specific reason. It's human nature, when we want mystery, when we want something moody, to do exactly what I've done. Kind of throw some filters over it, darken it down, make it nighttime, throw some mist onto it, throw some mystery. Nothing wrong with that. But I see a lot of portfolios that are frankly shrouded in mist and darkening filters and cooling filters. It's great, but that has to be complemented by the opposite, which I see far less of. And so you guys who are turning your portfolios, I don't want to scare anybody away, get those bad boys submitted. But that's one of the things I want to look for. I want to look for the range in the image. And so I just wanted to point out that it doesn't have to be nighttime to have mystery. You can use the light of the sun to create a little bit of mystery and to wonder what's around the corner and what that building really is, and really draw your audience in with sunlight. Okay, so from there, we've been doing sunshine, we've been doing moonlight, but we've been in the range of stylized naturalism. We've got the moon, we've got the sun. Let's get more theatrical now. And I'll say it again, what I mean by theatrical is using a color and quality of light. Instead of the color of the object, I want to get more into the color of the light influence in it. So let's do that. I'm going to make a copy of my purple image.
For those of you in the chat, which scene is your favorite right now? Which mood?
I would like to hear. Yeah, I'm curious what's resonating.
My personal favorite is the one with the sunlight streaming down.
All right.
I love the haze in images. It really gives a look into the space of this place.
Okay, so I'm going to take this image, and what I want to do is I'm going to put lanterns in it, just glowing orange lanterns. I don't want it to be about the moonlight, so I'm going to take that out. I want to darken it down enough so the lanterns really pop. Okay, so let's do that. I'll just get an adjustment layer here. So let me make a little room on my palette to get the adjustments in. And I'm just going to pull this whole thing down. Okay, that should be maybe a bit darker.
Robin and Sal say that they also like the one with the sun rays. People are also really loving the moon one. Dee and Mark and Linda.
So I'm hoping that we can do a couple more that will really catch your eye and catch the eye of a potential audience as we try to do in this business, and see if you favor any of these upcoming ones. So let me desaturate then. I don't want, we have the values, we have the hue, which is kind of going into the cools, and we have the level of saturation. I want the saturation to be in the reds and oranges of the lantern, so I'm going to desaturate what I have here. I think about there will do the trick. We'll keep a little color in our character there. Okay. So I'm going to bring my selections up and throw up another layer to paint on top of. So let's go into the sky, and I'm just going to put in a cool blue nighttime sky. I'll hide that selection but keep it up. I've got my go-to brush that I'm going to grab here. Okay. I'm just going to fill that up, maybe a little darker than that. Well, let's go with it.
Joseph says, with every change Nathan makes, he has a new favorite.
Oh,
Which one is better than the last?
Thank you. I think we're in a good range there. I think maybe a little more saturation in the sky, though. And that's actually a good point. Was it Joseph? Yeah, you know, I encourage my students, I encourage when we do sketches and when we do comps and when we're working out an idea, I encourage to do at least 5 versions of it. Because typically the first 1 or 2, they're kind of your go-to ideas, ideas that you default to all the time. And frankly, we got to kind of get past that and get new ideas. So in the third one, you kind of have to push into something pretty different than what you typically do. And then the fourth one might be a variation on that you're inspired. Oh, that's working. I can push that further, do a 4th version. And then maybe even try something completely different in a 5th version. And what I find is it's the third, the fourth, or the fifth that far and away turn out to be better than the first two.
Absolutely. I know in art school, when I was going through it, I had some classes, illustration classes, where our professors would have us do at least 30 thumbnails.
Yes.
Just to, the more ideas you turn out, oftentimes the ones that you didn't even consider initially are oftentimes the best. So that's good practice as well. Just do full pages of thumbnails, little paintings, really quick.
Did I
Good
say
practice.
5? Do 30.
Yeah.
It's 30 is the...
Why 100? Why not?
I misspoke. It's not 5. It's at least 30 per each. Okay. Yeah, I like that saturation a little bit better. Okay, I'm gonna invert the selection. Actually, not that. And I want to darken, because the moon had been influencing that, I need to take that influence out. So I'll just take a second here to darken that.
Desiree says when it comes to doing multiple images, sometimes it's hard to come up with more than 2 or 3.
And there's nothing wrong with looking at your reference files, getting a little inspiration. You know, you can see little ideas that you then bring an aspect of it to your own work and your own subject. And you know, especially in the learning curve, you've got to do that at times to get new ideas. Okay, so I'm gonna keep my selections going. This is my lifesaver to keep things simple. So I'm gonna select my foreground element here, and I'm just gonna glaze in some light from those lanterns. They're gonna be on the opposite sides of the doorway there. I'll just get a soft brush, and I'll grab a red. And the lantern's going to be there.
Ooh.
And there. It's the easiest thing you ever did in your life, right? Little bit of influence will come down on the ground.
That completely changed the image. That unity and variety.
Unity and variety, warm and cool. Yeah, everything is unifying in neutrals and cools, and then we're popping out our visual interest here. It'll come up and influence there a little bit. Might get up under here a little bit. Might even have a hint of influence on the statue hanging out up there.
And we have less than 2 minutes until we have that chat and win.
Can I do this
Get
in
ready.
2 minutes?
Can you?
Let's give it a try.
Speed round.
Speed round. Just get a little bit on the ground. And then I want some lanterns hanging, you know, in some different spots. Just kind of indicate that there's a few things happening out there. I'll go to my brush and give me when we're at 10 seconds.
Should I count you down?
To
lift off?
Absolutely. I'm not going to paint lanterns, I'm just going to suggest that they're there. Lantern out there, maybe something happening out here. All right, how much time do we have?
You got a minute left.
All right, I can do that. A little bit of light hitting the bush right here. I need to get some purples into that outfit. We can do that. Into the dress here. That purple local color, just sketch it in. And then the influence of the warm coming into it. Okay, we'll call that good. And then, how long do I have now?
15. But you know, it's not a hard 15.
I
But
gotta,
I want to 10.
I gotta
9,
make the
8,
All I need are a few stars in the sky.
2,
And we're
1.
done.
Bam!
We got it.
Impressive. Well, it's time. It's time for Chat and Win.
All right, chat and win. Let's do it.
Jump in that chat so you can win this beautiful Dan Mumford poster. What's your favorite time of day? Or just say hello. Tune in to be.net/live.
Oh, it's moving fast. Yeah, jump in.
You gotta move fast
Jump
to win
in.
this poster. And again, Dan did this in Adobe Illustrator Draw. This is a band poster that he did. Really beautiful. Again, we had talked about the fantastic colors. So, one lucky winner.
Okay, we're getting close.
We are. Get in there.
And a few people are throwing in a shout out saying hi to us
Yeah,
personally.
hi.
So good to
Hi,
see
everyone.
you guys.
Start calling out names. Oh, we have a winner.
All
Sorry, I
right.
didn't see.
Boom. Okay, we have
Mike.
fireworks. It's official.
Congratulations, Mike.
Mike.
You win this beautiful poster. We'll be sending that out to you.
Fantastic, Mike. Thank you
Yeah.
for checking in.
Thank you. Thank you all for jumping in. Hello to you all. So let's dive back in. Are we going to
Okay.
do another one?
Yes,
gonna
we
keep
are.
working on this one?
Let's. No, we are done with this one.
That was impressive. That's fast.
Yeah, some of my stars are not quite randomly placed enough, but those are about 7 seconds worth of stars.
It's a constellation, right? I see. We need to make up some constellations.
We'll
for
call
this.
it good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, in some of the DreamWorks movie, I would put specific constellations
Oh, really?
into the sky. I actually got caught. You're in your 20s, and we like to put little things or jokes or whatever into the background paintings. I actually got caught doing that, and I
You get
was
in trouble?
it was, you're an idiot. If you're gonna do this, don't get caught. You're an idiot for getting caught. Now, I was actually really, I put my initials in some cracks. It was just some cracks in a wall, very organic. I'll actually tell you guys what happened, because you might appreciate. It was the most subtle thing, very organic. I felt like I had to tell you that it was there for you to even recognize it. But the scene went to dailies, and the director said, "Oh yeah, the scene looks great, but I feel like it'll play stronger if we make it into a close-up. Can we do that?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, no problem. We do these, we give them extra resolution, so we have the leeway to do that." And so the director, "Okay, great. Let's cropped in tight on it for a better emotion in the scene." Well, guess which spot they cropped into? So
Of
it came
course.
back. Oh my gosh, it came back up the next day, and the director said, "Great, yeah, it's so much better tight like this." But that crack right there, I mean, does that look like an N and an F to you guys? And my production supervisor was in there. The artists aren't in that particular meeting. And my production supervisor was in there and said, "NF, Nathan Fowkes did this painting." And they actually they made, this is way back at the beginning, traditional days, once again, they put my painting on the color photocopier. You could blow up to 400%, and blew up that spot to 400%.
Wow.
And in a big black magic marker, they wrote, "Nice knowing you, man." And that's what I came into that
R.I.P.
morning on my desk. Oh my gosh. It was a slap on the wrist. But I mean, somebody had to go back in and digitally, and the tools back then, they had ways of doing it, but it wasn't easy like now. Someone had to go back in and change it. I actually called the person who had to change it and apologized. They laughed it off. They thought, they said, "Oh no, it's funny." But they had to go in and do the extra work. So I never ever did that again, except that in a few nighttime skies, I'd put some significant
Little secrets.
constellations
I feel like a lot
in there.
of filmmakers do that.
No,
so.
they do. I was too nervous to do anything more than that. But the constellations, I was in the clear at that point.
Very cool.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to be known for my artwork, not my
signature,
my
your
tomfoolery. Yeah. Okay, so enough of that. We gotta keep going on that. Okay, so we have kind of a version here. We could even take this, as we're going for different emotions. We could bring a little bit of romance into this, push a little bit more green into the foliage. I have some bushes there, just get a little bit of green in there, and maybe shift the whole thing slightly towards magenta. And then with those pleasant greens, the pleasant sky, the warmth of the magenta, we could get something that even pushes towards that kind of emotion. But we got to keep moving here. We have a lot of ground cover. So I'll just put that together. Let's see, how are we doing for time? Plenty of time.
We have about 24 minutes left until you need to get your portfolio submissions in.
Yeah.
So please do that.
Portfolio review on the half hour, so I've got some time.
Yeah, we'll be reviewing 2 portfolios, and if you need more information about that, the link to submit, it's under the portfolio review tab.
Okay, so I mentioned that we've been doing natural light up to this point, and so brought in a little bit of a suggestion of artificial light with some lanterns. But now let's take that to the next level. Let's go supernatural. Let's go to those supernatural light sources. So now I want to take this, but I want the light to be coming up from underneath, very Halloween, purple light, I don't know, I guess there are bioluminescences that can be really eerie, serene, and creepy lights in nature, but shining up from underneath onto architecture, not so much. So let's do that. And then I want to get just kind of a supernatural green in the sky, maybe a little bit of aurora borealis kind of a vibe in there. Okay, so
maybe we're entering the spirit realm.
Now we're moving. Yes, we're transitioning. Dimensional shift.
When you're doing variances on scenes like this, do you intentionally go chronologically from day to evening, or do you have a tendency to go all over the place? Does it matter?
Of course, you have to in color scripting, like an animated movie. There's a very specific timeline. One of the big challenges, we did at DreamWorks. We did the Shrek movies. I worked on a couple of them, a couple of the Shrek projects, including Shrek 4, Shrek Forever After, and that was happened in a 24-hour period. So the big challenge in that movie was, we can't have half of the movie dark for the audience in a movie theater and the other half light. So there were a lot of tweaks using artificial lights and really taking the audience up and down within the nighttime and within the daytime. So we had to be very cognizant of doing that. Yeah, job number 1, keep your audience awake in the movie theater. We actually, we think about that. That does come up. So, important concept. Okay, so I'm gonna just take back out some of this. Okay, and then I can take the color I have here, I'll do a little shift on it, and then I can kind of hand paint it in from there. So I'll just select the area, and the lighting is added on a separate layer here. So I'll just do a little tweak. Here, we'll move this over to the other side. And feel free to throw your questions at us.
I have a couple. I just don't want to interrupt right now. We do have a couple of career questions. Ricardo asked earlier, how do you balance your personal and professional life? That's a loaded question.
Yeah, it's a huge question, and the answer to that is do not do what I do. It'll ruin your life for sure.
But you love it. Don't lie.
Well, I'll tell you what I actually do, and it works for me, but it's very specific. You know, we have to work within what we're able to do and kind of our own body clock, and I do work from 9 to 5. It's the wrong 9 to 5. It's the overnight 9 to 5, and I really do. You know, I usually take a nap in the evening, and you know, I'm a dad. You know, I'm very happily married, and that's the world to me. You know, and I have that family time, and once the kids are off to bed and everything's settled, then I go back to work, and I get a nap in. I'm alert. I'm awake, and those nighttime hours are pure magic to me, because there's no one I have to check into on email. There's no phone calls. There's no interruptions. And for me, the kind of artist that I am, and I think many of us are, we spend years developing the mindset, and then we need some solitude to really let that click into place and get in the flow. You know, the constant interruptions, the meetings, you know, and stopping what you're doing and then restarting. That flow just can't happen. I had a great time in-house at the studios. I still work, you know, I'm working full-time for studios, but I'm only taking jobs now that allow me to primarily do my work from home. I'm working at a place, a studio in Hollywood, and I go in for meetings and check-ins, but I'm able to do my work primarily from home, and I do it during those nighttime hours, sleep into the morning, and then I get my business stuff done in the afternoon, the emails, the phone calls. I get my practice sketch, my practice study in the afternoon, and I do get work started in the afternoon, and then I'm able to get away from that and have some family time and then dig back into it. So I feel strongly, you know, anybody can do two things really well. Anybody can. And so, you know, if you've taken on the commitment of family, then obviously that has a high level of importance. And your career and the excitement of being an artist, that's the other one. And so for me, there's not much else. Those are the two things I care about, and that's what I spend my time doing. And so at that point, it becomes manageable. Everything else just kind of floats away.
Those of you in the chat, are you night owls, or do you love working in the early morning or during the daytime? My preference is also nighttime. When I get home from work, I you know, working a daytime job is hard because my brain is most active between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's where I get all of my ideas. So it is a challenge to balance both work and personal work.
It is the eternal challenge. I was talking to someone. I was talking to someone, a really great artist, and he's doing these very elaborate paintings for a studio. I asked him, "Oh, how long does a studio give you to do these?" And he said, "Oh, they give me a whole month. A month. I've never heard of that." You know, the absolute most I've ever gotten, sometimes a very elaborate scene we'll spend an entire 2 weeks on, and that's a luxury. And I said, "Wow, a month." He said, "Well, you got to understand, with the way things are around here and the meetings and the check-ins and go do this and that and the interruptions," he said, "I estimate that I get about 3 hours of actual work time per day, and it really takes that month." And for me, you know, at the studios going in-house, I would go in as late as they would allow me to go in, sometimes as late as 11 in the morning if it was allowable. You know, you don't want to put off you want to, you know, you want to make sure you do right by your company and they do right by you. I'd go in as late as they would allow. And then I ended up, you know, I'd maybe go in at 11 and stay till 9 p.m. That was before I had a family. And it was those last 3 hours I would get the most work done. It's just so, you know, you do what you can. There's no perfect way to work. There's always the interruptions. And you find your own way within that, of course.
Looks like most of you are also night owls. Caroline says she is a morning girl, though.
Good for you.
Good for you. You're healthy work schedule. Christoph also likes working very early in the morning and then a nap in between.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got to get my purple mojo on here, so I promise color more coming up from underneath. Who knows where it's coming from? This is fantasy, so we'll just roll with that.
Spooky spirits.
Yeah.
Hashtag purple mojo.
There you go. My favorite color. And let me get a little something happening elsewhere. Let's get a little bit of that repeated. Let me get to my working layer again.
Daryl asks, tips for overworking in illustration. How do you prevent that?
That is an excellent question. And I have what I think is a good answer for as soon as I can throw my purple in here. Because I want an underglow coming from another source as well. And tell me again, who asked the question? Was it Daryl? or
Daryl,
Daryl.
I'm probably pronouncing your
Okay.
name wrong because there are 2 dots over that A. Is it Daryl?
We'll
I'm not
go
sure.
with it.
We're
Okay.
going with that. I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. But my answer to your question is all of us have had the experience where we're trying to finish an image. It needs to be tight, it needs to be finished, it needs to have detail. And so we've had the experience where we paint into it and we paint into it. And the more we work on it, the worse it gets, right? Everybody out there? And if you're writing in and say, no, I've never had that experience, you are a filthy liar. Because every single one of us has had that experience more often than we probably want to admit.
Oh, yeah.
But I know exactly the reason why that happens. The reason that happens is as we add more and add more, we're adding more contrast, right? You're adding detail here and you're adding something here and a little thing here and a little thing there. Remember how we keep talking about our images need purpose? And so as we work and add detail, usually adding detail and more information means more contrast, more information, harder edges. And so instead of that knockout punch image, we're pulling the eye to this thing and we're pulling the eye to that thing and to the other thing. And all those things are secondary. Often they're not even important at all. And so the image looks worse and worse because we're dividing our viewer's attention. And then our image just gets watered down, and just is a sopping mess. And so when you finish an image, finish and put the emphasis in the parts that are most important and be willing to let the rest go. You'll be surprised that your image you'll finish faster, it'll be gutsier, and it will still look done. So that is an excellent question. Thank you. Okay, so we got to throw our sky in now. We have our supernatural color. So I'll bring my sky mask up. Go back to my working layer. I'll put a new layer here. And I'll bring us down into the greens. See how that looks. That looks pretty good. Okay, and I'm just going to go for it here. We've got to be quick about this.
And we have about 10 minutes until we are going to check out a couple of portfolios for portfolio reviews.
All right.
So make sure you get those in. I've seen a couple of questions about if you didn't get selected earlier, you need to resubmit your portfolio. So please do that. We're very much looking forward to taking a look at some of your work.
Okay, and I want to get a little of that green influence into the building.
This image is definitely an X-file now.
It's going into the
Aliens.
X-Files.
Aliens.
We're in the alien realm. Get a little bit of influence of those cools. And I just have to get consistent. I need to get a little of that purple light onto the dress, the character, the suggestion of a character down there. Okay, and we'll call it. We have our supernatural image here.
Number 2.
Okay. And so from there, you know, I'm doing something so far that I really need to break from. Because in one sense, I have the same idea going in all of these, which is silhouetted buildings against a sky that tends to be a little bit lighter. Sometimes very bright, sometimes not so much, but it tends to be a darker silhouette of buildings. I gotta break away from that. I can't do the same over and over. So let's do a dark sky now and let the buildings be a light, misty local color. Okay, so I'm gonna go back.
Mike says, gotta go to that party. What's happening there?
Yes, it's a
Laser beams.
It's a rave. Okay, so I'm going to make a copy.
While you're doing that, I also had a question from earlier. Shelly asks, finally getting to it, Shelly, in relation to portfolios when trying to get jobs for concept art and similar, what do people look for generally in portfolios?
The best thing you can do is to have range to show that you can tell a story. You know, I'm talking about concept art portfolio. And that's why I felt like it was important to go the direction that we're going over these 3 days. And so people want to see that you have solid skills. In the end, you have to decide if you're more of a character artist or more of a concept environment artist. Definitely you can do and show both, but probably your portfolio should have an emphasis. But I think for all of us, we have to have, if you're a character designer, there's that. And then beyond that, you've got to have an expertise in color and light design, both, for storytelling purposes. Got to show that. You have to do really great environments. Your job is to take your audience to places they cannot go to in real life. If you can do that for your audience, they will love you. You'll have opportunities. So powerful environment design. And the third thing is, you know, your pictures need to be good and solid. You need a good sense of picture composition. Those 3 things, color and light design, environment design, picture composition, all to tell a story and create emotion. If you can do that, your portfolio will just be stellar. It'll really sing. Okay, back to my selections.
Hey Rob, I see you in the chat.
I'll get a working layer up. And so I got to go for that dark sky. All right. And then I want a little bit of a little bit of a gradation in there. Okay, that should do the trick. And then I want to use warm light and cool light. I still want some magic in this, even though it's a different kind of an approach. So let's go into the cools. How much time do we have left, Ren?
We have less than 5 minutes
Ooh.
until those portfolios need to be in.
Some dramatic cool light coming in. Now I'm going to go for the warm. A little bit lighter than that. Okay.
Daryl asks, what if you're interested in so many things that it's hard to focus your portfolio?
That is difficult. You do, in the end, you have to focus. Otherwise, you're kind of sailing ship on the ocean with wind coming from all different directions, and you kind of go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember feeling that way in art school. So many different things. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I emulate 100 different artists I admired, but they're all different, and kind of wanted in some way to emulate all of them because I thought what they did was great, and I wanted to do something great. So I just had to pick, I love drawing and painting people, landscapes, places, and doing imaginative artwork. And that's what I've done my whole career. When I do more traditional stuff, I like to do portraits and landscapes. And professionally, it's artwork of imagination for animation, video games. But animation has taken me to so many different wide variety of subject matters. It's pretty much covered my craving for wanting to do a variety of things.
Similar to the last scene, this also feels really magical. Maybe a different kind of alien. A nicer alien.
And a nice, the nice alien this time. But everybody knows when the aliens show up, they're immediately, they're immediately going to start blowing up cities, and freedom fighters will have to find some tricky way, some analog way to stop them dead in their tracks, right?
Definitely.
These pesky aliens. But yeah, some of the real scientists say, I can think of no fate more horrible than actually meeting aliens. Because who knows, and the technology to get here would be unimaginably powerful. Okay, let's throw in some mist.
And for those of you who might just be tuning in today or missed Nathan's other streams, you can always go back and watch the replays. You can pause on certain images or certain advice that Nathan's been dropping. We've covered a lot of content over the past 3 days.
We've done our best here. Hope it's been helpful for everybody.
Val says, you have a lot of knowledge about aliens.
I'm a big.
Do you know a few?
You never know. Yeah, some people are surprised, who know me are surprised that I don't do more sci-fi artwork because I'm a big fan. Not as much movies and TV, it's great, but I love like hard science fiction novels that have a quality of real science and possibility in them, but really explore, limits of possibility and imagination. That's my favorite subject to read. If any of you guys out there like the same subject and are looking for a recommendation, One of the very best is a writer named Alistair Reynolds, who's one of my favorites. Okay, so we have kind of a strange magical mood here. I'll just do one adjustment.
And portfolio submissions are closed. If you did not get them in time, we still have one more stream with Anna Daviscourt and Ari, so you can resubmit then.
Okay, so does that, what time do you got? Puts us at 1:30?
Yeah.
Okay, I will wrap this up. Because I just need to put one stroke on this, and then I think we'll be in great shape. I just need to get back a little bit of structure into that underplane to show the light. Okay, and so we have our kind of mystical, magical version that takes the opposite tact. We're silhouetting light against dark now. And this comes in that vein of, you try 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 ideas because you're going to come up with a surprising solution eventually. And this could potentially be one of them. Okay, so shall we take a look, Ren, at portfolios?
Yes. Just getting confirmation from Gus.
Okay, just tell me when those are
Okay.
up and we'll be good to go.
While I'm doing that, I had one more question. Johanna asked about any art book recommendations that you might have, just for reference or inspiration, or...
Well, there's this fantastic book called How to Draw Portraits in Charcoal by an artist you've never heard of, an artist who toils in obscurity, named Nathan Fowkes. I put out for the plug, I put out a book. I love to draw in charcoal. I just love it. So I put out a book through Design Studio Press called How to Draw Portraits in Charcoal. And it's a how-to, step-by-step, the whole thing. I always encourage you guys to get your traditional mojo on, your draftsmanship skills. But we're talking about color and light, and there really aren't that many really good, cohesive books on that, except for one. I'm a big fan, and he's a friend as well. James Gurney, who many of you know, you've seen Dinotopia, and you're familiar with his work. And he put out a book called Color and Light for Artists, and it gives you the technical and the artistic point of view. Really, it's rock solid, and so that's the recommendation. Because art books can go in so many different directions and be personal to one artist, but this one I think just works across the board for anybody.
Sounds good. Well, we have our portfolio selected.
All right.
So I think it's review time.
All right, let's do it. All right.
You actually look like a legitimate astronaut in that.
Buzz Aldrin here, everybody.
Yeah.
I met Buzz Aldrin at Comic-Con. At Comic-Con, there were 150,000 people, one of which had walked on the moon. How incredible is that?
That's amazing.
All right.
So we're here floating in space, and we're ready to take a look at some portfolios.
Okay, let's do it.
So, our first portfolio is, this is hard to work in. It's hard to focus in this moment.
Feel free to take it off.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to completely nullify my portfolio advice by looking like this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to keep it on.
It makes it more official, really.
I've never had the opportunity. I'm going to keep it on
Space
for 1
reviews.
minute longer.
So, Leisha Hannigan is our first portfolio. So let's take a look at her Behance page. I also have her website up. Might actually be easier to look at the images on your website. Leisha, your website's killer.
Leisha, I've seen your work before
Oh.
and just come across it online, and this is pretty incredible. Proudly have my
Great.
helmet.
So it looks like you do a lot of creature design, like Bobby Chu, and beautiful environments.
Yeah, I have a screen right here in front of me. I might just peek over your shoulder as well.
Turn up the brightness a little bit. I keep it dark. Do you have any favorite images?
My gosh, the level of draftsmanship is
Yes.
fantastic. And we were talking about finished images and putting the detail in the right place, and it looks like you have a really good feel for that. Why couldn't you guys put a bad portfolio up so we actually would have something to talk about? This is quite remarkable. Go ahead and scroll.
I think this image is really standing out to me. I think the character has a really strong silhouette that's coming forward, and you've created a really wonderful sense of space with the tail in the foreground.
And it has the believability of a dinosaur scene, a real Earth, a Paleolithic, or actually, I guess Paleolithic is too recent, Cretaceous dinosaur kind of a look.
What's he eating? Who knows? Could be anything. I love the little egrets on top as well.
That's absolutely incredible. Go back to the full page.
Yeah.
So I have one suggestion, and this is a minor suggestion. This portfolio is too good for us here.
Got Nathan speechless.
So it would be very interesting to see, and you could even take a few of these images and experiment a little bit on top, because you have some nice color in here. Your color is looking good. It's looking naturalistic, and you're picking color accents in there to give a little pop and a little bit of visual interest. And human nature is to use value to create our primary contrast. That's just it's our autopilot. It's just what we naturally tend to do. When we want to have something stand out, we have a tendency to go to light against dark contrast, much more so than we have a tendency to go to maybe hue contrast. To have two things that are about the same value, but they're very different hues. And so you have some nice color in here, and I don't think you need to change that. It would be an interesting experiment to see some of these images where your contrast is light against dark, as many of them are. See if you can find a way using weather, using a change in sky value to use a different quality of light. Bring those values closer together, and then use, maybe you could have hot sunset light or some of the magical light sources we've been talking about here. Looks like you have a little bit of fantasy in your work.
This background here has some of that haze. It'd be interesting to bring it into the foreground a little bit.
Yeah, and so group the values and give us hue contrast. And you'll get some surprising, magical, and even poetic results doing that. But this is just extraordinary. I think it's been a year or two. And is it Leisha or Alicia?
Leisha.
Leisha. Yeah, it's been I've seen your work online. I think it's been a year or two since I've seen it, and it's come in extraordinary ways. It's pretty incredible.
Where could you see Leisha's art landing professionally?
Yeah, definitely if you haven't ever submitted to Spectrum, kind of realistic fantasy art, it would be a total home run there. Wizards of the Coast, fantasy art, concept art.
I think someone mentioned in the chat that she should definitely submit to Wizards.
Yeah, absolutely. But with the level of technical ability that you have here And I have to assume that you're already doing some professional work.
You've got to be.
You've got to be. So congrats. You've got a you made it too easy for us, Leisha. That's just not right. Nice work. Really beautiful.
Absolutely. Thank you, Leisha. And our second portfolio is Miguel de Veneza Rubio. Hopefully I pronounced that.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet, Miguel, but you're probably thinking, oh, great, I have to follow that. They put up a pro in front of me. We're all at different points in the learning curve here in the chat.
Everyone's always learning.
Okay.
So a lot of creatures as well. A music festival poster.
Okay, so make your work more like Leisha's work. Okay, next.
Nathan.
Sorry.
Oh, this little guy is wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah. Characters. I love this scene.
That's my favorite out of the group, and I like the color. And so it looks like you're doing well with this, and you're getting a quality of light combined with local color that I like. And so something for you to think about, something you might be able to do that actually goes in a different and very interesting direction, different from the portfolio we just looked at. I mentioned yesterday that in terms of design, there's kind of a scale. On one hand, there's local color. The color and value objects are. You have a bird that has black and orange and yellow. Those are the local colors and values of the objects. And then the other extreme, the other side of the scale, is light. You could have big shapes of light and shadow based on the color of the light, the color of the shadow. And we kind of work somewhere in that range, all of us. And you could even push your work even further into very graphic, interesting shapes of local color. And some animation and some very stylized graphic work goes in that direction. You're leaning a little bit that way in your work. It's working, and you can push that even further experimentally to do something, frankly, very different than what I do, and I think that would be refreshing. And I'll tell you guys, I had a chance to take a look at Ren's work, which I really love, and what was refreshing about it is it's a different kind and a different look of art from what I do. And we do so much of that kind of work in concept art. It was so refreshing to see something well done, but taking a different approach and a different angle on things. So you can experiment with the same kind of idea.
Definitely.
Where can they find your work, Ren?
On Behance.
Okay.
Also my name.com. So rensauer.com. I'm on Instagram as well, Ren S Draws. So you can find me there. I definitely do very different work from this, but I love, like Nathan, seeing a different style, a different voice. I actually don't like the word style. I think it has some preconceived connotations.
It's kind of artificial, right?
Yeah,
like you're
exactly.
forcing something onto your work. Yeah.
And your style is always changing. Like it's not this concrete thing all the time. Your voice is always changing. I prefer to use the word voice because that's what it is.
Okay, and that's a good example. That's a nice example of some graphic stylized work.
I love it. I think you should keep going with these graphic shape-based imagery. I could see you doing children's books, as well as even video game art. There's a place for this as well. I don't know. Have you heard of Night in the Woods?
I don't know that one.
So it's an indie game. Gus is nodding his head in the background, and you all should look it up if you don't know about it. Very graphic style. The character, it's a very dark game, but in contrast, all of the characters are very simple and cute.
Yeah.
And
the mobile games that are so popular and successful, often on the small screen they require a good clean graphic, but a beautifully designed graphic, and there's definitely opportunities there. Though I have one other suggestion for you, Miguel, because it's looking like in an overview of your portfolio, these images have light in them, of course, and it looks to me like when you do light, you do a generic kind of just ambient light. Nothing wrong with that. But I don't really see examples. I think a portfolio, I've mentioned that it needs a range. And so as much as a style can be helpful, it's always going to help you out, I think, to be able to do naturalism when you need to. And so you need to understand, what does sunlight do? Sunny day, if you took this image and put direct sunlight on it, and there's bounce light and atmospheric light, all of those elements. Because right now it looks like all of your lighting is a soft, ambient, generic light, which might be appropriate, but frankly is easier to do than direct sunlight. And if I were looking through this portfolio on a professional basis, I would be really encouraged seeing a scene or two that had a powerful quality of real light, knowing that you could do it when you need to.
I think we're gonna have to cut it off there. We are at 1:45, so.
Okay, we have about 15 minutes left?
10.
Yeah. Right, 10 minutes
Always
left.
until, yeah.
Always go, okay.
Thank you so much for submitting your portfolio, Miguel. This is off to an amazing start. I also see like a shift into the kind of work you're doing. You could go both fantasy or children's book. So keep doing it. I love the work. Let's dive back in. You have been working on another variation?
Yeah, so thank you, Miguel and Leisha. Okay, so you're about to go to a meeting. They wanted 4 versions and you only have 3, and you have 2 minutes till the meeting starts. Let's do it.
Does that happen a lot?
All day, every day, And I usually just sit there for the first minute and then take the last one.
Yeah, I also have a tendency to work last minute. I shouldn't be saying this, but working under pressure, I think, creates better work sometimes because you're not overthinking things. That's not true all the time.
But it definitely can be true.
Yeah, for sure. And Anna's in the house. Hello, Anna. She's coming up next with Ari. Marco asks, I don't know if Nathan will be able to answer this, but if there are any game studios out there that use a more 2D children's book style of graphics, and there definitely are.
Yeah, go ahead and take that one.
Yeah, things are not coming to the top of my head. Val, you are the video game lady. But the first person that comes to mind is my favorite video game artist in the whole world is Keita Takahashi. He created Katamari Damacy, if some of you are familiar with that, the little prince rolling the ball and collecting all the objects in the world. He's working on a new game called Watam, and the name escapes me of the studio, but you should check out his style. It's very simple, very children's book-like, and I think it's really refreshing to see that kind of work out there when there's a lot of realistic depictions of video games out there, more real world. So there are plenty out there, especially when it comes to indie games.
We haven't done a lit interior yet.
Ooh.
So we're just gonna throw a little magic light in there, put a different sky on, and we got it.
That's definitely a witch's house or some kind of potion cellar. What's she doing in there? Could be a he, but I think it's a she. Or a they.
So far it's a she, so.
And I think our goal was for Nathan to whip out 4. Is this number 4?
This is number 4.
Wow, really impressive that you were able to get all of those in today, especially with all these questions being thrown at you.
Get a little of that drama in the sky over there.
I think Anita was the winner of one of your prints yesterday. Anita, if you're still in the chat, what's your favorite image been? I think Nathan will give us an overview of all of them.
Okay. Okay, we have our
Yay!
magical version. Boom, there it is.
All whipped out. Shelley asks, how do you market yourself if your style is unique? I think the answer is in your question. If your style is unique, and you can find a market out there for it. The more unique your style is, the more you stand out. Some of my favorite artists their style is so different from what's out there that it's really refreshing to see. What are your thoughts, Nathan?
Get out there on social media and really let people see what you do. And if the work, if it resonates, that's when the opportunities start to come.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do we have?
We're at 1:49.
1 minute, 49 seconds?
Yes. Or no, like 1:49
1
p.m. Yeah, so
Okay.
still trying to give
so
you room for that overview.
We have about 5 minutes.
Yes, about
Okay.
5 minutes. That's an easier way of saying that. I like to make things complicated.
There's that. There's that. There's that.
And just a reminder for you folks who are wanting more of Nathan's knowledge. Nathan teaches classes on schoolism. So definitely check out schoolism. Val, if you could put a link in the chat, that would be great. A lot of amazing classes on there.
Yeah, we have I love that platform,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a great time on it. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for mentioning it. But that's why I teach the classes I teach: environment design, color and light design, and picture design, because those are, after we have our foundation, those are the skills that we've just got to have.
Mm-hmm. So let's look at an overview of all of the different moods, times of day, different emotions that have come out of each image.
There we go, guys. Okay, here's our color script. We've taken our audience on a journey, right? Taking them into different emotions, different places. I'll tell you, my favorite one is the one that has the real sunlight in it. I've kind of defaulted into these other images, frankly, because they're a little easier. I can do them faster. But the next thing I would do more sunshine and natural light-oriented images. But we've taken the exact same scene and created 12 different emotions and qualities. So a couple minutes left. Okay, so I promised them homework assignment, and we have exactly the amount of time left that we need. So I hope you like these pieces. I hope that's been helpful. Let's jump to our last bit. Okay, a review. One value, but make it look different in different contexts. We have to be masters of the three properties of color. So we have to be able to manipulate value. This is hue. Both greens are the same, but they're made to look different in different contexts. Give that a try. Try it with different colors. Learn to get the most subtlety out of your color by doing this. Saturation, one looks saturated, the green square in the middle, one looks desaturated. They're the same. Learn how to tweak saturation just by side-by-side simultaneous contrast of color. Temperature, a warm gray and a cool gray that really is the same gray. And then do sketches that try and elicit an emotion. And then from there, with these kind of practice sketches, abstractions, make it easy on yourself. Just try and get the emotion. And then finally, your third and final homework assignment, sketch, sketch, sketch. Half of these are digital, half of these are traditional. Some of them are master copies, images that I've admired over the years that I've done a little sketch of. Some are from life and some are from imagination. Practicing in those three areas 1 minute left.
1 minute left.
And maybe I challenge you to make a commitment to do one little sketch each day. So with that, I just want to, it's been so fantastic to join all of you guys. Here we are at Adobe. This is exciting for me. Photoshop has made my career. It's been the foundation of my tools. And so we have some of the team here. Thank you guys here at Adobe. And it's been so fantastic to join all of you guys out there. I want to wish you the very best.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your wide breadth of knowledge. You have such an incredible career. And for those of you who want to check it out, you can check it out in the replays. Nathan's available on nathanfowkesart.com, on Twitter, on Instagram.
And thank you to Ren for hosting. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Anna
guys.
Davenport is up next with Ari in 5 minutes. So stay tuned. Bye, guys.